So this would have been where there used to be an ore chute here, we just took it out so you could see better. They would start blasting down here, rock would slide down, they'd help it slide down the angle there, put it into an ore chute, into a car and haul it out to the mill. They'd keep working their way up. Well, after a while, you can't get much footing up there. It's all loose rock and sand and gravel, and you just go slipping and sliding. So they put those horizontal beams that give them something to put their feet on to work on up higher. And they just keep building their way up until they got all the rock out of there. And they'd all direct it down to an ore chute we'll see up here. So this goes quite a ways this direction. So they can't just do one ore chute. It's too much work to haul heavy ore clear back here. So they just built ore chutes as they went, and they just kept going. So those stole timbers hold up part of the mountain. I'm surprised they're not more broken, but they really can't hold up all the mountain. They have to leave natural rock pillars in here. And that's what they're doing here. As we go down here, you'll see ore chute, rock pillar, ore chute, rock pillar. And these pillars are starting to holding up the mountain, but all these pillars are full of rich gold ore. But you can't take them out because then this mountain would really start to collapse. So now the wall that you got back here behind you here looks like a nice solid wall. It's not. It's just another one of these ore pillars in a different form. So if you come down here and look, you can see what's behind that wall. There's nothing behind that wall. It's all hollow down there. Now technically, maybe this winter we'll get around to try it. Technically, I could go down this hole, go down 100 foot, find another set of rails like this, follow it back to that ladder, and come up that ladder. But I don't know. We don't know how much is caved in because there's been no maintenance down there since the place was closed in the 1940s. So I don't know if it's even open, if there's been enough caved in or not to go down there. But wouldn't be the safest thing. But
I was going to say, why would you want to?
just because it's there.
It's Colorado.
But then I could say on my tour, I did it.
There you go.
Now all I can do is explain
You
it.
can still say it, and nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
So what you got to do is you got to sucker the caving club into going down.
Yeah, right. Then right here under the light is a good sample of the ore in the wall. It's basically quartz pyrite. A lot of people will tell you there's no gold in pyrite. That's true probably 95% of the time. Around here, when this vein was formed, there was actually gold formed in here along with the pyrite. So if we crush that down to like flour consistency, we can actually pan free gold out of it. So it's in there, but it's small enough. When it's in the vein like that, you probably never see it. But it's all in there.
About how much gold is in this mountain?
There's still quite a bit left, but they took 90,000 ounces out of here. So that's a lot of gold. But how many people got off at the Fall River Road exit? Anybody? Well, there's a Fall River Road exit out here, and when you cross the creek, you're looking at the big side of the mountain. Well, if you know what you're looking for, that brown rock, this vein, gold vein, actually goes around, comes out the side of the mountain over there, and you can see the gold vein still in the side of the mountain.
Wow.
So it's still here. You just can't get permits or anything to mine it. The government, the EPA, and small people don't have a chance to do anything. So here's an example of an ore chute. This is where they load the rock in and put it into the cart. As we go along here, you'll just see ore chute, more rock pillars, ore chute. They just keep alternating as they went. So they probably had two crews in here. They probably had a carpenter crew and a miner crew. Well, we need to crowd everybody back in this space. And most of this timber all in here is the original stuff from when they closed down in the early 40s. But this is a dry mine, so most of this wood's not going to deteriorate. There's no moisture to help it. Come on in a little farther. So now this is just another natural pillar left in here, but this is a good example of what the ore looked like. So you can see that starts at about this level down here, goes all the way that level up there. So all that empty space over there is called a stope. So if they would have mined this out of there, made another empty space, that'd just be a stope, just like that stuff over there. But that's just a natural pillar holding the mine up. And this mine goes clear around the back over here. I'll tell you a little story about that later, but they kept going, and then you could keep going. You could follow this all the way out to where it comes out the side of the mountain back over there. Get all your pictures of the vein there.
So is that a Tommy knocker you got standing up there?
They're all Tommy knockers in here, yeah. People think they're gnomes, but they're not. Gnomes are in gardens. Tommy knockers are in the mines.
Oh, I see it now.
You get him?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about back in the early days, they had to do this stuff by candlelight.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll like this. So this is a candle holder. That's what they use. You can stick this in a crack in the rock, into a timber. This little hook would hook it on a rock where you could just hold it like that. If you're walking around, you walk around like this. They actually made a hat where you could actually wear this on your hat. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine working with a candle in it at all.
You can't breathe because
But here's what it would look
you
like.
can't hear because of the loud noise,
If
and now
you-
you can't see.
Yeah. Here's what it looked like if you were in here with just a candle.
Yeah,
Could you imagine working like that?
I know.
And pounding those drill bits with a
Yeah.
sledgehammer?
Yeah.
But it's even could get even worse. What if your candle goes out? Like that.
Ah, that's pretty dark.
That's rather dark.
Hey, who touched my butt?
Oops.
Oops. And your eyes won't get used to that darkness because there's no light to get used to. It stays black like that all the time. So you better know where your matches are at.
Or the way out.
But if you're in a mine like this, and that happened to you,
At least you have this.
be easy to get out. You just put
You
one
just-
foot on each side of the rail.
You don't,
And
you don't
just
clunk your
walk
head
out.
on something.
Maybe hold your hand up
Yeah.
like that. It might take you a while though. So after the candle, well, they had another thing in between, but it didn't last long. They come up with a carbide lamp. They had water in the top, carbide in the bottom. When the water drips into the carbide, it makes acetylene gas, comes out the nozzle. You light it on fire. You'd hold this on your hat too, but at least the reflector directed the light where you were looking. So that was a lot better deal there. And I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but you'd fill this thing up when you went to work. When it started running out of gas, it was lunchtime.
Oh.
You went out, had lunch, filled it up. When you went back in, started running out again, it's time to go home.
So is it empty now?
Hmm?
Is it empty now?
This one?
Yeah. So is it time for lunch?
It is way past time for lunch. I don't even get lunch
So
around
does
here.
anything live in here?
What's that?
Anything live in here?
Yeah,
All right.
pack rats.
Okay.
But they're normally down on the lower levels because obviously they don't like people.
That's good.
I've never seen a bat in here, but
Okay.
we really don't go down to those lower levels very often.
Okay.
But that's about mice. Of course, you always get mice coming in.
Okay.
So then they come up with this light. It's like a little carbide battery. Goes on your belt. Got the cord goes up to your hat. Of course, you get that cord caught on stuff all day long while you're trying to work. It was a real pain. So then maybe you were a mine owner, but you weren't a miner. So I might go to you and say, okay, you got 6 months. Take out all the ore you can. Take it down to Idaho Springs, get it processed, and I get some percentage of the gold. They did that a lot back then. So the last time they did that here, the miners had all their ore ready to go to the mill in Idaho Springs to get processed, and the mill burned down. So for some reason, they got mad at the mine owner. They come back up here, and they blasted a whole bunch of the mine shut. So back around the corner here, it's all shut down. It'd take a lot of effort to ever get it open again, but it would be possible. But you can see like this timber here from the weight of the mountains broken. There's been no maintenance back here. These big rocks here, have just fallen down out of the ceiling. So if you would have happened to have been underneath one of those, you'd still be under there probably. Timbers over here are breaking.
Sorry.
That one's breaking. This one over here is really breaking. So, place hasn't caved in on me yet, but let's go back by where the drills are at.
Good idea. I never did that. Oh, look, it's a basketball.
Wanna go down the ladder with you?
Okay, now we're gonna go up this way.
Now you're gonna lead the way?
We got more stories. Al bought this mine back in 1968.
Horse
I
skeleton.
think they were originally gonna go try and mine those ore pillars out and then close the mine down. They would really start caving in then. But I think they figured out maybe too costly and too many people would have to be in here. So they were cleaning up this mountain, mines that sit here for 20 years and stuff was caving in and they did a lot of cleanup. And then 1973 or 74, Al's son David, who owns the mine now, he was 13, I think, and some kids from Idaho Springs wanted to know about prospecting. So Dave says, okay, my sister and I are up at the mine today, come on up, we'll show you about prospecting. So they went up on the side of the mountain up here and actually found a gold vein that came to the surface that all the old miners had missed. And that's called an outcrop if it comes to the surface. So they took samples, you find a gold vein or any kind of vein, you take samples, you send it to an assayer. The assayer does all of his magic and he tells you what's in that vein. It had 1 to 2 ounces of gold per ton, which is pretty rich, 2 or 3 ounces of silver per ton, and 14 or 17% copper. Dad didn't even know that they'd found that until the assayer brought him the bill and says, hey, here's a bill. Your kids found this stuff, you gotta really go look at it. Well, the vein they found is this one here behind you. That's the vein they found. So you can see that's completely different than the other vein we've been looking at. The other vein is supposedly 60 million years old. This vein's only 1 million years old. So I'm sure you were around when that one happened. So they found that. They, where we're gonna exit, they come in the side of the mountain here, found that vein just like they did over here. They followed it down this way, went down this resurrection drift, and this vein just kind of pinched out down there. So then they went down, back down that ladder to the 100-foot level, drove over and found this vein at the 100-foot level, hoping it'd get bigger and wider like the other vein did, but it didn't. It stayed the same size. So they could not economically keep digging on this vein because it wasn't even paying for itself. So someone finds you a gold vein, they tell you they got a gold vein, don't mean they're gonna get rich off of it. There's a whole lot more to it than just fine in a gold vein. So, okay, let's go, see if we can talk a little bit about how we're gonna get the gold out of these stupid rocks.
Quick question.
Quick question.
Yeah,
What's the telephone for? The yellow box.
what's that?
The yellow box.
Telephone.
Telephone. We got one, if you notice, there was one back there.
Yeah.
when we come out. In case something would happen and we got trapped in here, it goes out to the bus and we can talk to the bus and let them know what's going on.
Cool.
Gotta
Stay
happen.
close to that.
Gotta happen. Okay, so a bunch of you guys are from New Jersey. We need this guy. So come over here. So what kind of rocks you have in New Jersey? So I'm gonna test you here. What kind of rocks you got in New Jersey?
Most of them are heads.
You got a lot of brown rocks out there?
Hard rock.
Not very heavy?
Yeah.
Try this rock.
That's a decent one.
It's a decent one for its size, huh? Wanna try it? Get over here.
Come on, Matthew.
Give it a try.
Come on,
Careful, it's heavy.
So if I need a ton of this rock to get gold, it don't take long. Give him your dog. We don't want to drop it on the dog's head. Try this one. You ready?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to try? Want to try it? Ready?
Yeah, just.
Anyone else?
I try it.
Pretty heavy. A little heavier than normal rock. Anyone else want to try? Okay, so when we blast that rock, we don't have any idea what size it's going to come out of there when we blast it. But we have to save it all. So we get big rocks like this, we can't process that in that form. We got to get everything about this size or smaller. So if you parked up here in the upper parking lot, there's another machine that looks like this. I don't remember if it's painted an ugly or ugly blue or an ugly green or something. It's a jaw crusher. This would go into a jaw crusher. It's got a steel plate like that and another steel plate at an angle. As this one moves back and forth, the rock you put in there gets crushed a little smaller and smaller as it falls down through there. That jaw crusher is too big for what we want, then we'd have to put it into a smaller one. So after we get that whole pile of ore out here, all the right size, we start loading it in the back of this ball mill, put the ore in there, put water in there, and a whole bunch of these steel balls. That thing just turns around and around and around. So has anyone got a rock polisher at home? Well, this
You
is
do.
This is a rock destroyer. When this thing goes through here, it just gets destroyed. So then they keep putting ore in there, keep putting water in there. Eventually that ground up material will come out the top there with water along with it. It'd run through a pipe down to this flotation cell. Flotation cell's got water in it. It's got paddles in there, keeps everything all stirred up. It's got bubbles in there, cause bubbles to rise up through there. And if that's all it did, it really didn't do anything. So what they do is they put pine oil in there. So now you got pine oil bubbles coming up through there. So maybe 30% of the really, really fine gold would stick to those bubbles, along with any pieces of copper, zinc, iron, anything else metallic in there would stick to those bubbles, rise to the top. These flappers here then would pull all those bubbles off, and this would go down to another container somewhere, and eventually would go to a smelter. Well, a smelter, if you see anything about the old mine stuff, the smelter was the big tall stacks with the big black smoke coming out the top of them. That was the smelter. The smelter can take and separate the gold from the copper, from the iron, from the zinc. They can do all that in the smelter. And then they would send all that material back to the mine owner. So now, all we've got in the bottom of this now is probably got some magnetite, some hematite, some pyrite, and some gold. So the bottom of this would all be shipped down here to this shaker table. And that shaker table would do the final gold separation. So let's go down there and take a look at the shaker table.
Look at the process.
What's that?
Look at the process.
Yeah. So this is a shaker table. First, we have to do a little science, because it's the same science you're gonna need to understand gold panning. So we'll say water's got a specific gravity of 0. We'll say the brown sand you're gonna find in the streams, it's got a specific gravity of 2 or 3. Even if they're big brown rocks, they've still only got a specific gravity of 2 or 3. They're gonna sink in the water, no problem. You're gonna find the black sand, the magnetite, the hematite, and the pyrite. It's got a specific gravity somewhere around 7 or 8. Just means it's gonna sink even better than the brown sand. Gold's got a specific gravity of 19. Means it's the heaviest thing in there. It's gonna sink even better. That's why you can pan gold. It's the heaviest thing in there. If it wasn't, there was no way you could separate it. So all these little strips would have had little pieces of wood on them. The material from that flotation cell would go up here. There's water coming down over this. It's got a slant to it. And that motor back there is gonna shake this thing. So all your lighter material is gonna make it over those little strips of wood and come off down the table down here somewhere. Your magnetite, your hematite, gonna come off over here somewhere, and then your gold would come off over here somewhere. There'd be some kind of collection things around here to collect everything that come off the table. So that's how they do their final gold separation. Because they took 90,000 ounces of gold out of here. If they were trying to separate that all by panning, it'd still be here. There's no way they could get it done, so they had to send it to a mill somewhere to get it done. So, any questions on that? Okay, thanks for coming to our tour. I was originally given a little panning lesson over here because the people that are supposed to be running this didn't set it up right. I think I'll go up to the stream with you and give you a panning lesson up at the stream. I think it'd be easier to do it that way than try to do it here. So grab a pan here as you go by. If there's not, we'll have more pans up above. The first work hard up there, drop your hard hats in there, and then we'll go up and do some panning. Hopefully the guy is supposed to